Welcome to Heart of Economy. Today we are diving into one of the world's most talked about, yet least understood, crisis. China has made incredible progress in renewable energy. It now leads the world in solar and wind investments. But behind this impressive story lies a shocking contradiction. A massive share of that clean energy is being wasted. Yes, you heard that right. Billions of dollars in investment are vanishing into thin air because the power grid cannot handle the load. How is this possible? Stay with us as we uncover the truth. Today, when people think about renewable energy, the first country that comes to mind is China. International reports show that in recent years, China has outpaced the rest of the world in both solar and wind capacity. From giant solar farms reaching across deserts to wind turbines that span entire provinces, the images are spectacular. On paper, the numbers look like a miracle. In 2024 alone, China's installed solar capacity was greater than all of Europe combined. In wind power, it surpassed both the US and Europe. By all accounts, China seems to have seized global leadership in the green transition. But here is the catch. Much of that electricity never reaches homes or factories. Energy is being produced but not delivered. In other words, China is simultaneously the world's largest renewable energy producer and a country unable to use a huge portion of what it creates. And this brings us to the critical question. Where is all that energy going? The answer lies in China's electricity grid. Yes, the country has built modern power plants, but the transmission and distribution system is outdated and fragmented. Imagine this. On one side, 21st century ultra-modern renewable plants. On the other, power lines built for the 20th century. The result? Electricity is being lost before it even gets to the people. Let's look at the numbers reported by Bloomberg. In the first half of 2025, solar curtailment rose to 5.7%, up from just 3% a year earlier. Wind power wasted 6.6% compared to 3.9% last year. At first, these numbers may seem small, but they represent billions of kilowatt-hours of lost electricity. Energy that could power cities, industries, and millions of homes simply wasted. Here is the painful truth. Building power plants alone isn't enough. Energy economics requires something more. Without a strong, modern grid, even the most powerful wind turbine is just a symbol on paper. So, is this just China's problem? Not at all. Let's now explore why this crisis matters to the entire world. China isn't just a country. It is the world's largest energy consumer, responsible for more than 1/3 of global carbon emissions. The success of the Paris Agreement depends heavily on how fast China can transform. If inefficiency continues, the consequences will ripple worldwide. More carbon emissions, slower progress toward net zero, and higher volatility in energy markets. Think about it this way: every delay in China's energy transition pushes global climate goals back by years, and this affects more than the environment. It destabilizes energy prices, erodes investor confidence, and shifts the balance of global trade. In short, China's energy problem is everyone's problem, and that's why global markets are watching Beijing's every move closely. But what do international experts have to say about this? Experts have been sounding the alarm for years. Fatih Birol, head of International Energy Agency, explains it simply. Clean energy without modern grids is like water without pipes. You can produce it, but you can't deliver it. World-renowned economist Jeffrey Sachs is even more direct. If China doesn't fix this, it risks creating the largest stranded assets in history. Energy will be produced, but unusable. Meanwhile, the IMF points out another angle. Grid modernization could create trillions of dollars in new global investment opportunities. In other words, this crisis could be turned into an advantage if managed wisely. My own view is this: China stands at a historic crossroads. It can either secure its position as the world's energy leader or waste billions in failed projects, and that choice will affect all of us. But suppose China does listen to these warnings, what kind of future scenarios are possible? China now faces two very different paths. The first path: modernize the grid, build new transmission lines, invest in smart systems, and integrate energy storage solutions. If that happens, China not only solidifies its leadership but also sets the pace for the entire world. This would be a turning point for both the economy and the environment. The second path: ignore the problem. If that happens, billions will be wasted every year, investor confidence will collapse, and China's leadership in renewables will be questioned. Global market will face new waves of uncertainty. The next 5 years will be decisive, not just for China, but for the world. But beyond politics and climate, let's look at how this affects money, the lifeblood of global markets. Global investors have poured billions into China's energy transition. Pension funds, sovereign wealth funds, and major banks all want a piece of the green revolution. But here is the risk. If energy cannot enter the grid, returns on those investments collapse. Goldman Sachs analysts recently warned that if grid issues remain unresolved, China could face a green investment bubble. That means projects that look attractive today could turn into the biggest stranded investments of our time. Yet on the flip side, this crisis could spark massive opportunity. If China modernizes its grid, industries like energy storage, smart meters, and transmission technologies could explode in growth. This could create new billionaires, new corporate giants, and even shift global financial power. My view, this is a stress test not just for China, but for the entire global financial system. Those who play it right could shape the energy economy of the future. Those who don't risk losing billions. This isn't just about China, it's also about global competition. The US, Europe, and India are all racing to accelerate their own clean energy transitions. If China fails to solve its grid crisis, leadership in renewables could shift. The US has already launched massive green energy subsidies. The European Union's Green Deal is mobilizing hundreds of billions of euros, and India is aggressively expanding solar capacity. So, China's struggle is more than a domestic issue. It's a turning point in the battle for global energy leadership. The outcome will affect not just energy markets, but also geopolitics. In the 21st century, energy isn't only about power generation, it's about economic power, political influence, and global leadership. And China's next move could shape the future energy order for decades to come. In the end, here is the bottom line. China is building an energy dream on a massive scale, but will this dream light up the world? Or will it turn into one of the most expensive disappointments in history? What do you think? Can China overcome this great crisis? Is it a historic opportunity for investors or the biggest trap in the green revolution? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to stay ahead of the most important stories in global markets and the economy. Subscribe to Hearts of Economy and turn on notifications. See you in the next video.